Disclaimer 1. I hate musicals. This might very well be one of the greatest musicals of all time. Spoiler alert, it isn't. But even if it was, I wouldn't be able to tell, because I am incredibly biased against any and all musicals. I can't stand them in general, and so my critique of this particular version of Carrie would likely be disproportionately negative. That being said, for the sake of being as fair as possible, I will mostly refrain from making my own analysis of the musical, and rather I will predominantly focus on the show's problematic history and tumultuous reputation. Disclaimer 2. For this video, I decided it was best to listen to the 2012 cast recording and read the script from the 2012 revival, as there is no official video of the original 1988 production or the 2012 revival available. There are numerous high school productions available to watch on YouTube, but I didn't want one specific amateur performance of this show to be the basis for my critique. Also, I refuse to sit through a high school musical unless one of my children is in it, and I've got at least a decade left before I am forced to subject myself to that torture. There are 7 Carrie-centric videos on this channel, one focused on the novel, one for each of the 3 Carrie movie adaptations, a video for The Rage Carrie 2, another for Carrie the Musical, which is this video, and one more for an episode of the flaming dumpster fire of a TV show, Riverdale. At some point during these 7 videos, I will have a bucket of pig's blood dumped over my head. It's in one of the videos, you just gotta watch them and figure out where it is. Unless somebody spoils it in the comments, which is totally messed up, man, because I'm just trying to get them views. Dang. Is it by the book? The script plays closer to the original movie than it does to the novel, and that is likely due to the fact that Lawrence Cohen, who wrote the script for the musical, had actually written the script for the original 1976 film. However, there are a handful of subtle differences from the film and the novel alike. For instance, there are some interviews, or what are referred to in the script as interrogations, of Sue Snell that convey the novel's dramatic irony only to a substantially lesser degree. They let the audience know that something is going to happen, whereas the novel leaves little to the imagination. These interviews or interrogations were entirely absent from the first film, but like the film, flashbacks to Carrie's childhood are absent from the musical. One major difference from the book and the film is that during the infamous prom scene, 2 of the novel's main antagonists are dispatched amidst the chaos, as opposed to meeting their own more intimate personal demise. This is both unsatisfying and disappointing, but for this particular medium, I can understand why the decision had been made. For the most part, all of the characters are present and accounted for, and they are reliably portrayed as they were in the book. The story arc is consistent with the book as well. History and inspiration. The creators of Carrie the Musical, Michael Gore, Dean Pitchford, and Lawrence Cohen, claim that both the novel and the original film were considered when writing the musical. They also mention Sondheim's Sweeney Todd as an inspiration regarding the tone and overall vibe of the show. Carrie the Musical, 1988 production. The show was produced by Friedrich Kurz and the Royal Shakespeare Company, and had its first 4-week run beginning on February 13th of 1988 in Stratford, England, where it received mixed reviews. The massive, technically complex production featured pyrotechnics, lasers, automated scenery, and a gigantic white flying staircase that appeared for the show's tragic finale. The production was plagued with script and technical problems. In fact, Barbara Cook, the actress playing the role of Margaret White, resigned when she was nearly decapitated by an elaborate set piece on opening night. But she agreed to stay on until a replacement could be cast, which turned out to be the remainder of the show's Stratford run. Carrie the Musical, 1988 Broadway debut. The show transferred to Broadway at an expense of $8 million, at the time an exorbitant amount, in 1988. The show officially opened on May 12th. Financial backers promptly pulled their money out of the show after only 5 performances, guaranteeing its place in theater history as one of the most expensive disasters of all time. The show received scathing reviews, and while it reportedly sold out every show, all 5 of them, it is said that it was not uncommon to hear just as much booing coming from the audience as there was applause. According to the New York Times, quote, "The more than $7 million show was the most expensive quick flop in Broadway history." 2012 Off-Broadway revival. Cohen, Gore, and Pitchford revised both the score and script and decided to give Carrie another go, which I have to say was a pretty ballsy move considering what a massive failure the original production was. A reading was held in New York City in 2009, and the revival began previews in January of 2012. The show officially opened on March 1st and closed a month later on April 8th after a limited engagement with 34 previews and 46 performances. During the 2011-2012 awards season, the show was nominated for multiple awards, and to the surprise of probably everyone, the show won the Off-Broadway Alliance Award for Best Musical Revival, an award that may or may not actually matter at all. While I wasn't able to find much in the way of reviews of the revival, I did find 2 reviews, one from the New York Times and one from the Hollywood Reporter, that, while not necessarily scathing, are less than glowing. A few choice quotes from these reviews include, quote, "It's hard to imagine this defanged Carrie ever raising your blood pressure or even making your flesh crawl." And another great quote, "An infamous Broadway flop becomes just another insipid teen angst musical in this well-intentioned but misguided revision." Ouch. Productions of the revival began to pop up in London and Los Angeles, and the first high school production would take place in New Mexico in 2013. Carrie the Musical cast studio album. On April 9th, 2012, Ghostlight Records announced that they would record the first ever cast album of the show. The recording was released in September of 2012 and reached number 183 on Billboard's current albums chart for the week of October 13th, 2012, when it also topped the magazine's cast albums chart. Look, I'm not going to go in depth about my personal feelings on the music or the lyrics. It's not my thing, and I'm immediately turned off by everything from the lyrics to the vocal delivery, instrumentation, and so on. Suffice it to say, I listened to the album once through, and I am eternally grateful that I will never have to hear it ever again. That being said, for folks who enjoy musical theater and would listen to this sort of thing on purpose, it may be really great. So if you like musicals for some ungodly reason, let me know in the comments if it is any good by what I assume are your far more generous standards. Final thoughts. As I said during the introductory disclaimers of this video, I do not like musicals, and even a musical that uses a Stephen King novel as its source material can't change that. But I think it's safe to say that outside of a small cult following, it is universally agreed upon that the revival was bad and the original was worse. All I can say is that I hope to God no one else had poor enough judgment to try to make yet another Stephen King content-based musical. Oh, that's right. Stephen King himself did it in 2012 with the help of John Mellencamp and T-Bone Burnett. And oh, sweet Lord, there is an episode of Riverdale we have to talk about now too, because they thought it would be a good idea to incorporate Carrie the Terrible musical into Riverdale the Terrible TV show. Fuck! But that's a story for another video. Goodbye. Be sure to click like and subscribe to the channel for my continued analysis of all things Stephen King, pretty please with blood and guts on top. My name is Mr. Doyle, and this has been a great undertaking.